Oh no! A guest from overseas suddenly collapsed. A nurse rushed from the island's only clinic, but she was perplexed because she couldn't determine the cause. I can tell he's having trouble breathing, but what could be causing it? Despite thinking it might be presumptuous, I checked on the patient. Are you a nurse? Is there no doctor here? Dr. Mason from the clinic is currently on the mainland. I was once a renowned surgeon. But do I really have the right to treat a patient now? While I was contemplating, the patient was still struggling in front of me. Seeing this, I mustered up the courage. I used to be a doctor. My name is John. I'm 32 years old. I was a surgeon, but now I'm unemployed. With nothing in particular to do, I'm traveling around the US under the guise of convalescence. I've been living this way for half a year now, but I still don't feel motivated to do anything. I wonder if solo travel is really helping my emotional wounds, but changing plans now seems bothersome, so I wander from place to place every day. I'm currently on a small island in the Gulf of Mexico. The Gulf has many small islands. If I don't know where to go, I just visit one island after another. This strategy has saved me from running out of places to go. I stay on one island for a few days, then move to another island that comes up in conversation. Honestly, they all seem pretty much the same, but a change in company can change my perspective. If I don't stay too long, I don't have to share much about myself. Since I used to be a renowned surgeon, I still have plenty of savings. But I don't know how long this lifestyle will last. So, I stay in cheap inns or guest houses to save money. Welcome. Do you have a reservation? No, but do you have any rooms available? Yes, we have vacancies. Then I'll stay for 4 or 5 days. I arrived at Thompson's Inn in this manner. It's an old inn, but it seems well maintained. Recently, we've had a lot of foreign guests due to inbound tourism. He looks to be in his 50s. As the innkeeper Michael said, despite the old-fashioned style of the inn, many guests are clearly not American. Many come back because they enjoy diving in the sea around here. I'm not into scuba diving, so I don't quite get it, but according to Michael, the Gulf's strong currents mean each island has different kinds of fish. We've seen these fish since we were kids, so we don't find them that interesting. I smile vaguely at Michael's words. Without the purpose of diving, few would come to this island, I suppose. Maybe Michael is curious about why I'm here, which is why he's making small talk. If I could, I'd like to dive, but my doctor advised against strenuous activities. Are you not well? You look healthy. I'm not sick, but I was told to recuperate in places with good air, so I'm touring the islands in the Gulf of Mexico. This is a lie. But as my own physician, I prescribed this journey for my recovery, so I think it's okay to say that. Michael seemed satisfied with my answer. He probably worried I might cause trouble. In that case, this island is perfect. It's not very touristy, but it's great for relaxing. I gave another vague smile at Michael's self-deprecating words. We pride ourselves on good air, beautiful scenery, and delicious fish. You should regain your strength with plenty of nourishment. I hope so. There's a reason I quit being a surgeon. I couldn't save someone important to me. I had a girlfriend, Emily, who was a nurse. She fell ill and needed surgery. Nursing is a tough job. Emily noticed she wasn't feeling well, but she was too busy to get checked. By the time it was discovered, the illness had progressed significantly, and even with a successful surgery, her 5-year survival rate was extremely low. Emily asked me to perform the surgery. At the time, I was a renowned surgeon. She laughed and said if I couldn't save her, it was just her fate. I did my best, and the surgery was technically a success. But Emily didn't make it. I learned the limits of surgery and lost confidence in being a doctor. No matter how great the surgery, you can't defy a person's fate. That's what I felt. Even if I performed the perfect surgery and saved a patient, something else might happen in the next moment, causing them to lose their life. What am I doing surgery for? Why continue if I couldn't save the most important person to me? Thinking about that made me feel empty, so I decided to quit and travel. Traveling because of hardships. I'm so cliché. With such a banal reason, I'm wandering aimlessly. On the third afternoon of my stay at Thompson's Inn, a commotion erupted. Oh no! A guest from overseas suddenly collapsed. Michael's voice reached me as I relaxed in the lobby, gazing at the sea. I wondered what had happened, but at that moment, I could only watch and see what unfolded. A nurse from the island's only clinic arrived quickly, but she seemed at a loss, unable to determine the cause. Curious, I decided to check out the scene. It was in the dining room. The person who collapsed was a guest from Europe I'd seen a few times at the inn. He looked to be elementary school aged. I remembered his father mentioning they were enjoying snorkeling. What happened? I asked, and the nurse turned to me with a troubled expression. I can tell he's having trouble breathing, but we can't figure out why. Despite thinking it might be presumptuous, I checked on the patient. He did appear to be in respiratory distress. Could he have choked on something he was eating? Since it was in the dining room, it was a plausible thought. No, he hadn't eaten anything yet. She's right. We were just about to start cooking after taking their order. Michael confirmed this. Really? He hadn't eaten anything? I asked his father, and he confirmed it. But the symptoms clearly indicated respiratory distress, as if something were lodged in his throat. Excuse me for a moment. I opened the struggling patient's mouth to check, but there was no sign of anything being stuck. This symptom was familiar to me. Are you a nurse? Is there no doctor here? Dr. Mason from the clinic is currently on the mainland. Unfortunately, the island's only doctor was away at a conference. We need to act immediately. Do you have an ambu bag? An ambu bag is a manual resuscitator used to provide air to patients who are not breathing adequately. Yes, I have one. Please get it quickly. We need to administer treatment right away. The nurse hurriedly pulled the resuscitator from her medical bag. I placed it over the patient's mouth and nose, repeatedly squeezing the bag to provide air. What's happening? It's dry drowning. Have you heard of it? Dry drowning. The nurse seemed to recognize the term and was visibly shocked. I spoke with the boy's father. He said they went diving this morning and he almost drowned. Water likely entered his lungs. And now he's drowning on land. Dry drowning, as I just explained, can be described as drowning in a dry place. Inhaling water leads to a state called pulmonary edema, where water accumulates in the lungs, preventing oxygen absorption and causing respiratory distress. Alright, this should stabilize him for now, but he needs proper medical treatment. We need to use the clinic. The nurse seemed unsure how to respond. I used to be a doctor. Understood. Please help. Michael, get the car. Once the nurse knew I was a doctor, she moved quickly. Michael and the others transported the patient to the clinic, where we connected him to an oxygen machine. We need to start in 4 to prevent infection. Got it. The nurse efficiently followed my instructions. After some time on oxygen and an IV drip, the patient regained consciousness. Alright, he's stable for now, but we need to keep an eye on him. Can I inform the family? Yes. Also, ask for more details about the drowning incident. The patient's parents entered the exam room after hearing my words. They explained that they had gone scuba diving early in the morning. The boy slipped and swallowed a small amount of water. Since it was a brief incident, they didn't realize he was drowning. I documented the details in the medical record and explained the situation to the parents. Even if the initial drowning seemed minor, water in the lungs could lead to serious issues, such as an inability to breathe properly due to water or bacteria. They mentioned the boy seemed unusually sleepy after returning to the inn. That drowsiness is one of the symptoms of this condition. The parents were astonished at my explanation. It's understandable. They never expected that swallowing a small amount of seawater could lead to such a dangerous situation. It's not surprising that they thought everything was fine because he didn't actually drown. It's rare, but in severe cases, it can be life-threatening. He's showing early signs of pneumonia, so he'll need to stay here tonight. You can stay with him if you'd like. After some discussion, the mother decided to stay with her son. The father and elder brother would stay at Thompson's Inn. Once everything settled, I suddenly realized. I hope it was alright that I made all these decisions on my own. It's fine. I don't know what I would have done without you. The nurse smiled, and something about her expression felt nostalgic. By the way. Yes? I never got your name. The nurse looked surprised at my words. That's true. I don't know your name either. Oh, I'm John Foster. I'm Rachel Thompson. Rachel and I introduced ourselves for the first time. It feels a bit strange, doesn't it? Yes, it does. Rachel said, smiling. Come to think of it, we had been too caught up in the emergency to exchange names. Are you Michael's daughter by any chance? No, I'm his niece. Though, there are many Thompsons on this island, so there are plenty who aren't related to us. I see. Rachel explained that she had rushed over after getting a call from her uncle, Michael. I was nearby on a house call, so it was fortunate I could get there quickly. I remembered feeling that the clinic seemed farther away than I had thought when we were transporting the patient. For that distance, the nurse's arrival had been remarkably swift. This clinic belongs to my grandfather, but he is on the mainland for a conference. In urgent cases, we communicate online. Your grandfather? Yes, I returned to this island after graduating from a nursing college on the mainland and training in a hospital for 2 years to help him. Gradually, I started to understand the situation on this island. Originally, there were no doctors on this island. For illnesses or injuries, people had to travel by boat to another island with a doctor or to a large hospital on the mainland. Rachel's maternal grandfather opened this clinic after learning about these circumstances from his daughter, who married a man from this island. He had retired from active practice and decided to set up the clinic here about 10 years ago. My grandfather established this clinic 10 years ago after hearing about the lack of medical facilities from my father. That inspired me to pursue a career in healthcare. Even now, there are many islands without doctors. That reminds me, I knew a doctor who moved to such an island. I recalled a doctor who had helped me during my student years, moving to a clinic on an island in the Gulf of Mexico after retiring. Remembering him brought back dark memories. That doctor was the grandfather of my late girlfriend, Emily. I saw him from a distance at Emily's funeral but couldn't bring myself to speak to him. I was sure he must resent me for performing the surgery. That's what I believed. Anyway, I'll be staying here tonight, if that's all right? Of course. There's no on-call room, but we have a place for you to sleep. I spent my first night in a long time as a doctor in a while. The next day, the boy who had experienced dry drowning was feeling much better. Kids recover quickly. You can go home now. But if you feel strange at all, come back immediately. The boy's parents thanked me and returned to Thompson's Inn. They planned to stay on the island for a few more days. Though I wasn't worried anymore, I advised them to take it easy rather than rushing to a big hospital. I figured I'd stay on the island for a while longer and be their primary care doctor during that time. By the way, it's a bit awkward to say, but some patients heard about you and have come to the clinic. What? With Rachel's grandfather absent, the clinic was not supposed to handle non-emergency cases, but news of a doctor's arrival had spread. And some islanders had come for consultations. What should we do? Though it was unexpected, the patients were already there. When is your grandfather returning? Tomorrow. I see. I'll take on the consultations for today. My medical license is still valid, after all. This unexpected turn of events seemed like fate. Fortunately, none of the patients had serious conditions. Most just wanted to talk to a doctor. I'm really sorry. Rachel apologized, feeling embarrassed by the trivial complaints, but strangely, I found it quite enjoyable. Most patients left after receiving their usual prescriptions and a brief checkup. No need to apologize. I had a good time. These words were genuine. The next morning, Rachel's grandfather, the clinic's doctor, returned. You are. It was an unexpected reunion. The doctor was none other than Emily's grandfather. So, this was the clinic he mentioned he would go to after retirement. Dr. Mason recognized me immediately. Do you know each other? Rachel asked her grandfather, looking confused. It's been a while, not since Emily's funeral. Yes. Though I only saw you from a distance back then. So, Rachel and Emily are related. No wonder I saw a resemblance. I felt as if I was being caught up by the destiny I had been running from. That day, Dr. Mason and I explained the situation to Rachel at the clinic. "So, Dr. Foster, you were?" "Yes, I was Emily's fiancé." Rachel was astonished by our story. Emily's last name was indeed Mason. Dr. Mason's son was Emily's father, and his daughter was Rachel's mother. Both of my granddaughters decided to become nurses because I was a doctor. I see. I recalled Emily saying she became a nurse due to her grandfather's influence. Why are you on this island? What happened to your hospital and your patients? I struggled to find the right words. Don't tell me you feel responsible for Emily's death. He hit the nail on the head. If that's the case, you're being very disrespectful to Emily. Do you understand that? I couldn't comprehend his words. Don't you hate me? Why would I hate you? Because the rigorous surgery I performed ultimately shortened Emily's life. Yes, the surgery was successful. I removed as much of the cancerous tissue as possible, and initially, it seemed like I had extended her life. But the surgery had taken a toll on Emily's body. Though she regained consciousness post-surgery, she eventually succumbed to multiple organ failure. Her body couldn't withstand the surgery. If I hadn't operated, Emily might have lived longer, with more time to do what she wanted. It feels like I took her life away. You damn fool. He yelled at me. Emily was a nurse. She trusted your skills. That's why she asked you to perform the surgery. I have a letter from her stating that. Emily wrote that? He pulled an envelope from his bag. Read it, he said. The envelope bore Emily's familiar handwriting. With trembling hands, I opened the letter Emily had sent to her grandfather. It stated that she knew she didn't have much time left. I am a professional nurse. I understand my condition and what lies ahead. I also know the success rate of the surgery. Even so, I want to undergo surgery by John. Emily had indeed told me the same thing. Emily must have said the same to you, didn't she? Yes. Emily chose to have the surgery. As a professional healthcare worker, she judged it was the best chance to live. That's right. Emily had said that too. And you, as a professional, performed the surgery and succeeded. What happened afterward was Emily's fate, wasn't it? Maybe that's true. But I still felt responsible for making her choose that path. I think I understand how Emily felt. Rachel spoke softly. Emily and I were cousins, but we didn't interact much since she lived far away. Still, if I were her, I would want someone I trusted to perform the surgery, just like she did. Rachel looked at me earnestly. Emily trusted in medical science and in you, Dr. Foster. She put her faith in the surgery. Put her faith in the surgery? Yes. If she had not undergone the surgery, she might have had a little more time, but she would have regretted it deeply. Rachel's words echoed Emily's sentiments. As a medical professional, she couldn't just let the chance slip by. As long as there was a possibility, she would take that path. It felt as if Emily were speaking to me through Rachel. That's how I felt. And now, I have returned to my previous hospital and resumed my career as a surgeon. The few days on that island and the miraculous encounters pushed me to make that decision. Fortunately, the hospital welcomed me back. Dr. Foster, Dr. Mason would like your opinion on this patient's case. And now, I am connected online with that island clinic, helping them with consultations. Yes, that sounds good. Thank you. While honing my surgical skills at a large urban hospital, I'm also working to improve healthcare in medically underserved areas. I'd like to perform remote surgeries one day, but we'd need the right equipment on your end. I said, somewhat wistfully. Rachel laughed. Then you'll need to make more money over there, Dr. Foster, so you can help our clinic too. Oh, come on, how much do you think that would cost? A surgeon's salary won't cover it. Haha, I know. Rachel said, chuckling. She was teasing me. But you're working towards that goal, aren't you? Well, yes. After discussing with Dr. Mason, I considered staying on the island to work at the clinic. But I felt it was too soon. Even if I stayed, it wouldn't solve the fundamental problem. That's true. One doctor alone wouldn't be enough. We need a broader network to ensure everyone can access quality healthcare, no matter where they are. I've been advocating for this at medical conferences and other gatherings. Now we even have a medevac helicopter service on our island. It's all thanks to you, John. Perhaps we are making progress, even if just a little. That's how I feel, and I have to keep moving forward, one step at a time. I'll visit the island again during my next break. I'll be waiting. Perhaps Rachel and I are gradually getting closer too. And I find myself happy at the thought. Everything is still just a possibility. But as long as those possibilities exist, we will keep moving forward. Because it's the path we've chosen.